things that we'll be looking at this morning, right? Just to bring it into your eardrum so that you know exactly what's going on. I mean, just yesterday, while I was surfing the net and making my research, I saw something that popped up on the front page of Nigerian newspapers, and it had to do with the arrest of Sowore, right? And as well as, the issue that has to do with the fact that, hey, for those who have been in the protest of August 1, the hashtag in bad governance protest, who have been detained and all, they've been granted bail, and each of them, of course, would have to pay 10 million naira to bail themselves out and all of that. But it has called for some concern because, we've been having a conversation for quite some time, talking about these issues of whether or not we can exercise our free right to, speech, free rights to association and all of that, which is embedded in the Constitution. But there are some other, concerns that come from the place of, abuse of these rights. And the Constitution is also very clear about these issues. But then you and I have indeed looked at these issues, and there has been some thoughts too that bothers around the fact that, hey, if we are going through the process of having our SIMs linked to the NIN and all of that, where the federal government has said, well, there's some good that will come out of it. I mean, that way we'll be able to track and monitor, especially for the process of investigation, some of the crimes that might be going on or that would be in the process of going on. When Nigerians never even refuted it, Nigerians are saying that, okay, if we are putting us through this rigorous process of having to do all of these linkages where we hoped that we could do that without having to leave the comfort of our homes, but now we are forced to leave the comfort of our homes, going to the respective network providers just to see that we are linking all of this. To what end will it be? If after all of these linkages we're still having kidnappers and bandits using the same mobile networks to make calls and make transactions, and yet they are not being pinned down, and rather you're going after protesters who are only coming out to telling you that, look, something is unifying us, we're hungry, and we only need for you to look into our thoughts and look into the things that we're going through, because those who are representing us have failed us. Those with whom we are vested with the mantle of power and leadership to lead us are not leading rightly, and we just want to engage in a peaceful protest. We want the president, we want those in the high hierarchies, corridors of power to get to hear us and feel us, and on indeed reason with us, as to regards what we are going through. And if it means having to revert the policies that is harming us, then they should do the needful and all. You have kept us behind bars, and a 10 million naira bail now has been slammed on, I think, about 100 protesters now, I think, or 10 protesters now who have been really detained. Quite a number, not just 10, quite a number of protesters have been detained already as a result of the August 1 hashtag and bad governance protest that ensued last month, right? So exactly 1 month now, and we're still having this conversation on. Yes, so we would indeed look at these, but if you also recall, Sowore was indeed arrested as soon as he flew in. Is it the US now or London? It came into Nigeria. But prior to that time, there was a far cry, or there was a mandate that has been put out there that, hey, should he step into the country, that he should be arrested. And yeah, he already said, well, I will come into the country, I will come soon. And he did come. And as he came, indeed, the same things that was expected that should happen or that would happen did happen. But let's go to hear it from what Sowore had to say, and then we'll get engaging with our guest who is already on standby, to have this conversation.
From the airport, and of course where we are currently, with Omoyele Sowore. Let me just, of course, get into the interview straight. Omoyele Sowore, great to be back home, I believe.
Yes, I am back home, but it was because when I left in March and also in May, I did make a promise that I'll be back, that I'm not going anywhere from Nigeria. So it doesn't matter what anybody tries to do, and that is why when I was informed and I got a copy of their memo to the airport that I was declared wanted, it just made me feel very proud that I was once again upgraded by Nigerian government. I've been on the watch list of Nigerian government since I was in the university in 1992. But I found out officially that I've been upgraded to the highest possible level. So,
what do you mean by upgraded?
Well, so they have different grades. There are people who they watch, just generally, if you are leaving the country, they just try to figure out where you're going. But the level that I'm on is a level in which whenever I arrive, I'm supposed to be accompanied, arrested, and detained, and taken to the office of the DG of DSS. That's the level that I am. I think it's the highest level. It's like the GCON of, or the GCFR of the National Award for Troublemakers.
So what happened this morning? Because we saw all of the drama that unfolded at the airport. We saw security forces trying to sort of whisk you away, and at some point it looked like they let you go.
Yes, when I arrived, they seized my passport. The immigration guy seized my passport when I presented my passport for processing. And then after standing around for a while, I asked them, what's the problem? They said there is some notation on my passport that that needs clarification from Abuja. And I said, who is that? Who put the... Of course I knew. And they said they're going to they started making all kinds of calls. And then they asked me to sit down at the place. I sat down beside them. After a while, I went back to them and asked, what's going on? And it's been like 30 minutes at this point. And they said they're still waiting for Abuja to clarify. And then they took me to their office where I was briefly detained. And then I tweeted before going into that office, and some 10 minutes later they came and said, oh, it's just been resolved. You can go. So I went to try and get my bag. Of course, one of my bag was missing. I hope it's not the DSS that stole it. But
you said one of your bag was missing.
Yes.
Is it still missing, or have you?
Missing, but I've incidented with the airline to look for it, because the tracking on my phone from the airline shows that the bag arrived. So, but like I said, I don't want to. I hope they didn't try to do something stupid with my bag, because they might go and plant some things inside of my bag and claim I brought drugs into the country. I don't do drugs.
All right. Now, let's talk about the reason why you are on the watch list. A lot of people have asked, what does this reflect of democracy?
Well, it's a reminder to those of us who fought for democracy that what we fought for has not come to happen in reality. And we just have to keep fighting until we get what is desirous. And I don't know, even if the democracy as we know it now, globally, is even desirous anymore, because it's been hijacked everywhere, including from the source. They no longer even do credible elections in the US anymore. It's just crazy. But what is known to us as our own way of interacting and accepting governance is democracy in this country. And that's the basis of our engagement and interaction with governance. So that's what we continue to fight for. But I'm not surprised, but even though I feel sad that in 2024, people are still being hounded. Protesters have been arraigned and prosecuted for treason, in which they ridiculously wrote in the charge sheet that they were trying to overthrow the government with placards. And these guys are still in detention. Even when they're granted bail, the judges granted bail, given conditions that they know the protesters cannot meet. And over 2,000 protesters were aware. Some protesters were detained.
Call madam at the read news.
Days without trial by judges, federal judges. So these are part of the reason we must take our country back, and it's the reason I can never, and I'm saying it, I'm not bragging, I'm not running away from anybody. It is either we get it right, or we all pay.
All right, so that is Omoyele Sowore right there, having his own thoughts as to, why he was detained and all of that. But something really gives me a concern, and it gives me the cramps, and the cramps, rather. I don't know. Maybe the way that, he had made some of those comments, seemingly, as some are beginning to say, is carrying some weight, or rather is seeming as though it is going to be a head-on collision with the federal government on some terms. Some say is bragging. Some say it is the audacity. Some would say that is this not just show off and all of that? And maybe that is a concern. But he had made some very terms very clear, and that would be the place where we have seen where certain persons' voices have indeed been not really shot, but these persons have been called into questioning. Now, to give you an example, a very typical one, Joe Ajero, of course, where he was arrested the first time, he was not arrested, he was called in for questioning, and then he said, okay, no, I'm not coming on your date, on your terms, or the date when you want me to come. I need to understand what it is that you invited me over for. And he set another date for it. I think is it 27th now? Yeah, which of course he 27th or 29th of is it August now? And he went for that invitation, and before you know it, he was out. And there were serious issues that have been allegedly leveled against them. Terrorism financing is one of such, right? And when we hear such, it should indeed give us a scare. It should indeed make us worry. If you are the president and you've got wind of an information that one or two persons who is quite powerful, commanding a sector of the country, is somewhat allegedly deemed to be part of a financing or terrorism financing process, would you just sit back and fold your arms and say, okay, all is well that ends well? Or would you want to take action? Now, action has been taken, maybe not by the president directly, as the DSS has been all over. And again, a second, invitation or arrest now was made, and it didn't take long enough. He was let go. He just let him go. And now look at the Sowore issue now. He has also been, somewhat held back or somewhat detained or left, at the airport, just like that. And after all of that, you heard from him. He'll just say, you know what, you're all right, you're good to go. And then it's beginning to make Nigerians want to think that, hey, what exactly is going on right now? Is it that we can't even have our voices said anymore? Or is this a way of silencing dissent voices? Could it be that we cannot indeed express ourselves anymore and talk about the issues as it affects us? And that being said, I wouldn't want to dive into it too quickly, as I have my guest who is on standby. I'm talking about Comrade Gerald Olkachi. He's a human rights activist, a public affairs commentator, and social analyst, and he will be joining this discourse this morning as we go engaging. Right, I would love for you to have your phones, have your phones in handy, because it will be a very smart, conversation. As much as you can, please, I would say, please limit your questions. Just go straight to the question. Don't call the WhatsApp portal number, all right? Just send your WhatsApp message, no voice notes, just WhatsApp message alone, or text message, right? And go straight to the point. Any message that's not going straight to the point, I'm afraid I would not be, reading that message out loudly or at all, right? So please go straight to it, and let's have a worthy conversation this morning, right? Yes, let me give you the numbers again, or so you can indeed have that number at your beck and call. That will be 0907 353-0044. Or and the WhatsApp portal number would be 0909-705-4450. Well, comrade, good morning to you and welcome to Eagles Outlook.
Very good morning to you, wonderful listeners.
Indeed, it feels good to have you. Well, the detention of activists and erosion of democratic rights in Nigeria has raised some significant concerns, especially among Nigerians and even the international community. In fact, that is why we'll be looking at, the issues that have continued to trail or blaze the trail, not in the most positive way, not in the way that quite a number of people had expected, but yes, the turn of events is one that cannot be given a blind eye to. Now, we have experienced a series of protests and demonstrations in recent times. We have where citizens are demanding, better governance and economic opportunity, an end to corruption. The government's response, though, has been somewhat criticized for being heavy-handed with arrests, detentions, and restrictions on free speech. Now, I wouldn't want to bore us with, these conversations, but let me go to certain things that I think we ought to know just before we get, into the question. Omoyele Sowore, a human rights activist, and if you recall, 2023 presidential candidate, was detained at Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos upon his arrival from the United States. A leaked DSS memo had ordered his arrest. Now, Sowore had announced plans for more protests, referring to the Fearless in October protest scheduled for October 1, 2024. And a federal high court in Abuja granted bail to 10 activists arrested during the #Hunger or #EndBadGovernance protest, but barred them from participating in any public rallies or protests. The activists are struggling to meet the 10 million naira bail conditions, prompting their lawyers to seek variation. But I just want to go straight into this. How do you think we could balance national security concerns with protecting citizens' right to free speech and assembly? Would you consider dialogue with protest leaders or to address grievances?
Well, to start with, it's unfortunate that the 21st century we are experiencing this kind of abuse, erosion of democratic rights. There's a popular saying that prevention of peaceful protest is an invitation to chaos, anarchy, and what have you. You understand? And even to buttress it, to even think that people that are suppressing voices are people that benefited, that led, that sponsored protests in the past, goes to, break the heart. That is unfortunate. Even we have more tolerance in the military days than what we have today. We have more tolerance with regard to civic space than what we have today. Now, Sowore and other activists that recently have been clamped down on is something that we least expect, and is targeted at silencing decent voices, targeted at preventing people from responding to issues. And prevention of these decent voices, or call it peaceful protests, is often an invitation to unrest and instability. When government or authorities suppress peaceful demonstration, it can lead to several negative consequences. One of those consequences include increased tension and frustration. You understand? It increases, tension, increase unnecessary frustration that is very preventable. Blocking protesters, peaceful protests, can cause frustration among citizens, particularly when their legitimate grievances are ignored or dismissed, as we have seen today. What are the grievances? You tell us to tighten our belts, and we are seeing you living extravagantly. Just recently, we saw the movement of the president yesterday to Brunei. Yes, you may say Brunei is a place that has been marked with regards to insecurity. But we saw the number of vehicles with him. In a country that is being seen as the poverty capital of the world, At least you should be leading by example. There are a lifestyle you will be living. It will show that you have concern for the citizens. It shows that you have concern for the people that you are leading. You understand? But rather, when people begin to, express their dissatisfaction with regards to the rulings or leading, you try to suppress them. So some of the consequences it may cause is radicalization of movement, because as of today, you see the theme for October protests, fearless. If there have not been any suppression, will there be any need for that language, fearless? It means that any future movement will be radicalized, because when peaceful venues for expression are closed, some groups may resort to more extreme measures, feeling that peaceful methods are ineffective as we have it today. This can lead to radicalization of other peaceful movements, which may turn to violence as a last resort. And that is where we are heading to.
So when you say which may turn to violence as a last resort, are you now throwing your weight behind violence, interaction just to get, the other party to listen?
If you peaceful movements.
Yes, you said which may resort to violence at the last resort. That's what you said. So are we saying that we should embrace violence to get things rightly?
Don't say what I'm saying. When you prevent peaceful protests, some of the invitations or some of the consequences is an invitation to say last resort. How do I mean? If, for example, I go for peaceful protests, I went out with other citizens, patriots, to express dissatisfaction with regards to some of the policies, and you arrest me, charge me for the highest charge in the land, can carry capital punishment, treason, for carrying placard saying end to bad governance. You charge me treasonable felony. Come on, what do you think that any other person would do? So the people should go into depression, start committing suicide? No, it cannot work that way. What it may lead to, if you go out, see that I get arrested, shoots on sight or tear gas, you see people will resort for ways to defend themselves. It certainly leads to unrest and civil disobedience. History shows that suppressing peaceful protests often triggers unrest, riots, or widespread civil disobedience. When people feel that peaceful means of addressing grievances are blocked, they may be driven to express their frustrations through disruptive or even violent actions. You look at what is happening to Southeast today, which is very, very and highly condemnable. But it started gradually. At a point, they started sitting at home. Today, there's no week you don't see bloodshed in that region. These are some of what, when you have people that does not even listen to grievances of people, what it can lead to.
All right, comrade. Some
other consequences.
Yeah.
Some other consequences you will see with suppression of voices or peaceful protests, including international condemnation. It can attract international condemnation, damaging the country's reputation on the global stage. It can lead to sanctions or diplomatic consequences from foreign governments or international organizations that prioritizes human rights. Just as we saw recently with regards to a program they had in UK with Trade Union Congress, where our country was lambasted because of the engagement with the NLC president. It can also lead to loss of public trust. When government prevents peaceful protests, it deepens the gap between the state and its citizens. Trust will be eroded, and this can further fuel discontent and lead to long-term instability as people lose faith in the government's ability to address their needs. So these are part of the challenges.
Right. Okay. Let me put a peg to your thoughts. Let's just go take a breather. We'll be right back, and we'll delve deeper into the discourse. Right. All right. So yes, it's still Eagles Outlook, and yeah, we are still talking matters. The concern, the topical issue that borders around detention of activists and erosion of democratic rights in Nigeria. Don't go away. Let's go pay some bills. We'll be right back.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
My people, the thing where they happen for my area,
Do you think I will now find out that you have contract to bring fresh girls?
I brought you from the gutters. Who gave you all the connects? MDG who? Without me, you would have been nobody. But
Join Media Coalition and Awareness to Halt Human Trafficking, MICAT, on I Wish I Knew radio drama every Saturday at 10 a.m. Let us join hands and kick human trafficking out of our communities. I Wish I Knew radio drama, brought to you by MICAT in partnership with the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, and funded by the Embassy of Denmark in Nigeria.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Hello everyone. This is a special invitation to tune in to Eagles 102.3 FM for the Safe Spare Connect program with Town Planner Ibrahim MT, the safety doctor. If you're looking for more information and guidance on the morality of life, health, safety, security, and the environment, then this is the show for you. Join us every Tuesday from 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. for an hour of insightful discussions, expert interviews, and engaging segments that will keep you informed and safe. Don't miss out. Mark your calendars and make sure to tune in to Eagles 102.3 FM. Stay safe, stay informed, and connect with Safe Spare Connect.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
All right, still talking matters of concern, whether or not we have some freedom charter. Well, the topic basically is detention of activists and the erosion of democratic rights in Nigeria. And still having this conversation with us will be our guest in the person of Comrade Gerald Okachi. He's a human rights activist, public affairs commentator, and social analyst. Remember, I once said that you can join the conversation. I gave you these numbers, and these numbers will be coming in handy right about now. So 0907-353-0044 is that number to call. The other number would be the WhatsApp portal number. Please don't call it. Just send your WhatsApp message or text message. No voice notes. All right, so that we can have a good conversation this morning. And please go straight to the point. It is important for you to do so. Well, comrade, I know we're still talking this issue, and it doesn't seem as though it will end anytime shortly, but I need to ask, these questions. They're very paramount to the discourse this morning, right? Now, what mechanisms, would you feel that, the federal government or should be put in place to investigate allegations of illicit funding? I mean, one of such has been the issue where the federal government had, mentioned clearly, without mincing words, that look, some of the issues that border on this protest, arrest, and all of that has been on terrorism funding, as well as other very grievous, grave, security risk matters. And I don't know, if you were the president, right? If you were president and you discovered a secret plot to overthrow your government, how would you respond to that to protect democracy and national stability?
You see, they say a clear conscience fears no accusations. You see, if you are doing the right thing and you carry the people's interests, why should you be afraid? Afraid of who? Afraid of protests? Afraid of shadows? If you discover secret plot to overturn your government, there are necessary steps to take, not clamping down on protests. For example, a few weeks ago, about 4 Sundays back, one of our comrades, who is part of people that participated and organized the protests, by name Babatunde Daniel, was taking a Gestapo style in his church on a Sunday morning. His phone was taken from him. together with the wife phone. Now, in the church where he was taken, they told the church members, because they foresee possible resistance, because every average Nigerians, most Nigerians know that it's pure suppression of voices. So they foreseen resistance. They told the members that they are investigating Daniel on the issue of a murder case. You know,
a murder case.
You understand? At the end of the day, they took him to IRT, which is former Abattoir, or still Abattoir, former SAS office, where he is till date. They have not taken him to court or charged him to court. So if tomorrow such a thing appears or shows forth in another circumstance, do you think people will not resist it? You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Do you think people will not resist that at the end of the day they will discover that it was all lies? It was misleading. You misinformed people just to achieve your aim. There's no way you can. Okay, look at what happened. 5 of our comrades were picked in Abuja. Angel Love, Michael Lenin, Opolua, what's his name? They were picked in Abuja. Now they were charged together with people they picked from Kano. Those they picked from Kano, they claim that they saw them with foreign flag. Because in Abuja, did you see them with any flag? Why mixing it up together? To make it look as if you have a legitimate argument. Honestly, let's call a spade a spade.
So can you confirm or deny allegations that the August #and bad governance protest in Nigeria received funding from, entities or individuals linked to terrorism financing or illicit activities?
He who alleged should be able to, provide it evidences. It's easy for anybody to sit anywhere and cook up one story or the other. There's a popular African idea that says a witch cries at night, a child dies in the morning. One of which is what happened to NLC president, where the Nigerian police force extended invitation to him because they were pursuing one Britain. And in that invitation, they claim is related to terrorism, sponsorship of terrorism, and etc., etc., etc. The big charges. On getting to that office, he was not meant to write any statement. He was replaced that is the exchange. Less than 30 minutes, he left the office. Few days later, you give him another fresh invitation. This time around on public disturbance, destruction of property, and etc., etc. So how can you take such government serious? If someone as highly placed as Joe is being suspected to be sponsoring terrorism, at the end of the day, you couldn't hold anything against him. Tomorrow, even when you have something valid now to pursue or arrest or prosecute him, people will not still believe you again. When we was alive, there was one popular music he sang, Nenago, Nenago, that is Igbo. Listen, every night the king will come out and be shouting, "See lion, see lion, see lion, see lion," just to prank people. People will come out with their sticks, the machetes, and to protect their king. At the end of the day, we say it's a prank. One of the night he came out to, ease himself. The real lion night came, he started shouting, nobody heard him. So if you continue to trump up charges against people, and at the end of the day, you are not justifying it. When you have even real issues, how would people then believe you? It will look as if it's the same thing you are repeating. So it's highly condemnable when we begin to see attempts to support. Okay, some of the things we protested in August, Nigerian people protested, youth protested. Are we not even seeing it doubling? Does it show that the government is sensitive about the plight of the people? People protested that price of fuel has gone up. Then it was at 617 naira. Today it's heading to 1,000 naira after the protest. People protested that they hike electricity tariff. And we were told that some people were in band A, band B, band C, and so on and so forth. Today, as I'm talking to you now, almost everybody in FCT have been pushed to band A secretly. wherein if you make a recharge, you try to buy units, you discover that it's a different thing entirely as against what you used to get. So let's call it spade a spade. Today we have heard the MBS coming out that the inflation is dropping, but the realities in the market is not justifying what they are saying. There are rumors that the recent Dangote refinery wanted to sell their fuel less, and then NPC are frustrating it using the market forces. You ask yourself, who is fooling who? If an individual could do what a government cannot do, we have 4 refineries that we have spent billions of dollars, I mean billions of dollars, just for turnaround maintenance. Only this year, this government have, through the NPCL, have told us that the Port Harcourt refinery will commence work in March to April to August. Now we are in September. You ask yourself, who is fooling who? Today is Showore. Yesterday was George. The other day was Lenny still in detention. Daniel was there. Who could be next? If you don't hear my voice or hear that I've been taken, it may be because I'm raising my voice against this suppression, against bad governance.
All right, let
you can't tell people and we are seeing you flying first class, sailing with the first class yacht, seeing you driving Escalade, seeing you flying with first class jets.
Well,
if they are raising issue of safety, we don't have one presidential jet. We have almost close to 10. If one have issue, others are they having issues? Let's call a spade a spade.
All right.
Before you know it, move it into ethnic line, move it into religious line, move it into political affiliations or what have you. They will just find a way to confuse the learned.
So let me come from the place where, very recently in the spate of issues and concerns and challenges that there's been rocking the Nigerian nation as a nation and all of that, we have seen the ILO come out to give a statement saying that we have human rights challenges in the country, but the presidency had come out to outrightly debunk it and saying that, look, we do not have any issues that border around human rights, abuse in Nigeria. Then it makes us also want to ask, the question of, what are the concerns, right? What are the concerns surrounding the justice system's handling of protester cases, and how can due process be ensured?
You see, one of the things give rights and continue to give right to suppression or infringement on people's rights is because we have weak institutions. You understand? If our institutions are strengthened, you understand? Some of these things we are saying will not be saying it.
So how can we strengthen? How can we strengthen these institutions, especially that of the justice system?
The only way we can strengthen institutions is when we give them independence, right, without interference. Follow the rule of law. Obey their orders. For example, of our comrade was killed. He's a journalist. In January 2020, during street protests, when they were protesting, demanding for the release of their leader Zazaki, and this our comrade was covering the protests. He was shot at the beggar roundabout here in Abuja by those Otako divisions. We took the matter to court. We spent more than 4 years fighting for that matter. While that was going on, 9 months or thereabouts later, a police officer killed a citizen in America that led to I can't breathe, something like that. I'm forgetting the name.
Black Lives Matter, yeah.
They got justice, but ours took us more than 4 years. Finally, we got judgment. Up until now, no headway. During 2020, we have Nigerian youth on the streets protesting for police brutality and what have you. Many of them were permanently disfigured. One of them is still carrying police bullets as we talk today here in Abuja. How many am I going to count? So the justice system is very poor. Now, during that NSAS protest, they set up judicial panel of inquiry. If you had been opportune to be at National Human Rights Commission, where the Abuja own took place, you will weep for this country. You will discover that there are people that have obtained judgment in their favor for more than 10 years against the authority, against the Nigerian police force. The ability to even respect that judgment becomes another thing. So, National Human Rights Commission, in their own wisdom, devised a means of handling such situation. They will make you to sign a document or swear an affidavit that you're not going to take up the matter. They find a way to compensate you. You look at the one that took place in Lagos. There are names mentioned. There are police officers mentioned by that panel of judges that government set up will pay with taxpayers' money. There are names they mentioned that they need to be prosecuted, from the Nigerian army to the Nigerian police force. All of them are still serving under this government. You ask yourself, who is fooling who? You don't hit in the bush and come out to the main road and asking who is hitting. Of course, every government will want to defend itself. No government will agree that what he's doing is wrong. But all these indices, you are bringing it one after the other. If we say this thing is not like this, we'll show you empirical evidence. Look at it. It's only useless on you to clear it, not using propaganda. What we are seeing today is government of propaganda. A situation where you will raise one issue, they will use propaganda and just finish it up. They will not even allow you to settle with that issue.
So what other ways can we engage? Because, comrade, when we keep talking about these things the way it goes, they say talk is cheap, actually. It is in the doing that you'd indeed see, what, would come with the talk, right? We've seen protests, happen. Most times we call it a peaceful protest, but in the end, there's always casualty. And I don't always feel nicely, and I'm sure the Nigerian listening now, the listener would not feel nicely. Let me land. Would not feel nicely about the fact that we run a protest, and in the end, we are having loss of lives. We are counting it in numbers. Can there not be other ways that we can engage to getting things done?
That's why I just enumerated some of the consequences of suppression of peaceful protests.
Right.
You ask yourself, let's be honest here. If government is to organize protests or even sponsor protests, will you see anybody get injured? The answer is no. Before the August 1st protest, we saw various type of protests. Nobody was harassed. Nobody was injured. Nobody was intimidated. Everything went smoothly. But whenever it's any protest that is anti-government, especially under this APC regime, during 2012, when Nigerians protested against fuel subsidy removal, did you hear anybody got arrested or injured? When we have Save Nigerian Group, when we have Occupy Nigeria, did you hear that anybody was arrested or even detained or shot or prosecuted? These are some of the things you ask yourself. When you have a very government that has empathy, that is sincere and responsible, you will not be seeing all these kind of things.
All right, let me put a peg to your thoughts. Let's just take this call. Yeah, let's just take this call. Hello and good morning. Okay, that's a miss though. Keep the calls coming through. 0907-353-0044 is that number to call. And of course, you can get on with the WhatsApp portal and give us your WhatsApp message only as a WhatsApp message or as a text message, and we will indeed engage you. Hello and good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Man.
Yes, good morning to you, please. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Comrade Haruna on the line.
All right, Comrade. You're calling from where?
From Kujeria.
From Kuje. All right, Comrade Aruna, you have 30 seconds, please. Let's get into it straightly.
All right, quickly, straight to the point.
Yes, please.
I think the government is trying to silence those people that matters to the plight of Nigerians, those that can make things work. Why am I saying this? If you observe, before they knew the increment of fuel from 617 to the current price, Joe Ajero was picked up. People that can come out and say, no, we will not accept that. They form one problem or the other, one allegation or the other, allege to them that these are what these people are financing terrorism, while terrorists are in Borno, in Maiduguri, Zamfara, coming out, destroying property, picking people for ransom. Government cannot go and pick those people up. The innocent Nigerians who are moving for their daily business, they have been alleged that they are terrorists. No, to me, the government is not there to serve Nigerians, it's there to serve ourselves. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much for that window. Appreciate that from you. And please don't call the WhatsApp number, or Joma, don't call the WhatsApp portal number. Just stick with the, call lines. But we see a couple of messages via the WhatsApp. Let's just go take it because of for want of time. See this one now. It says, good morning, UD, and our very vocal comrade. This is James from Suleja. Welcome to the new Nigeria, where speaking out or crying out is now termed terrorism. UD, let me ask you, did Nigerians have any ground for protesting during the hashtag bad governance protest? Claiming Nigerians received funding to organize protests shows we now have rulers instead of leaders. Isn't it strange the speed with which the government was quick to track protesters down to their homes and churches using just their social media handles, but can't track sponsors of bandits and the real terrorists wreaking havoc in farm settlements and villages, kidnapping Nigerians in their numbers? A bad system doesn't appear wrong to those who benefit from it. All right, James, thank you for that one. I see this one here. This one is coming from, you didn't let me know where it is that you are messaging from. You just say your name is Joy. Joy, where are you messaging from? You might as well want to add that so we can have that conversation. See this one here. It says, good morning, Daniel. Good morning to you. I greet your guest and listening from Nasarawa State. I insist Tinubu's government is heading to the wrong direction. Why beat up a child and ask the child not to cry? Tinubu government won't allow Nigerians to protest. He protested against Jonathan. Nobody arrested him and charged him with trying to overthrow his government. After stopping us from protesting, his government's yet to address any of our demands, from high cost of food, high cost of fuel, all getting worse instead. Taken B, Hundu. All right, Taken B, thank you for that one. And yeah, can we still take one more call? I'm not sure we can, but let's see. Okay, I see this one right here. Okay, that is not for the prog show this morning, but then thank you. But comrade, let's just get into it finally. Like, if you're gonna give your final thoughts, your last thoughts, has there been any other way, or could there be any other way to get those in the place of leadership to listen to Nigerians? And do you think we've exhausted all of our options? And what do you think could be the way forward?
I think ways forward to restore democratic rights in Nigeria, including strengthening institutions, just like I said earlier, electoral reform, civil engagement and accountability, addressing corruption, very importantly, promoting rule of law and human rights, ensuring that we have security and democracy balance, and then finally having inclusive governance.
Right.
All these 7 things I listed here can help us navigate us to the right way of governance. You understand? If we begin to have, for example, civil engagement and accountability, we see that citizens will be encouraged to actively participate, not just in politics or election season, but civic education. Engagement campaign can empower Nigerians to demand accountability from elected officials. Moreover, robust support for civil society organization is crucial in holding the government accountable. But a situation where you try to hold government accountable, you are busy with the suspect, they begin to tag you with any affiliation you belong, just like what they are doing with Ijo Ajero. If they don't say that he supported Labour Party, they will accuse Shore of being contested for the president. You asked something earlier that why is it that protests we carry out always end with destruction of property or people losing life? The answer there is very simple. In 2019, Omoyele Sowore was incarcerated because of revolution now. We carry out protests in front of National Human Rights Commission to lodge a petition letter. Therein we saw the same people that we saw in SAS that use SUV came in with L5 buses, L5 buses. Over 4 of them at that Maitama place, they were coming down with sticks, shouting, "Say Baba, say Baba." We were attacked. Most of our force were collected. At the end of the day, what we saw in the news was 2 protesters clash. You ask yourself, who sponsored those people? Who brought them with government vehicles?
All right, comrade, you might want to shorten that to like 20 seconds because we are already against time. Yeah.
If we promote rule of law, like we have obtained judgments,
right?
If we ensure that our laws are working, not necessarily making it very stringent, like what we saw with the 10 protesters, where they were asked to bring
10 million
and say it's uncalled for. Now we have over 100 of them that are still in detention without being released, and they obtain one kind of order that to keep for 60 days. Let's be honest, for Christ's sake. Everyone can release. They told them engage in public discussion.
Yeah.
Who does that? You can't beat a child and ask a child not to cry.
All right, comrade.
It's okay.
Comrade, on that note, we will have to, call it a close. But thank you so much for bringing your voice on this one. Comrade Gerald Okachi is your name. You're a human rights activist, public affairs commentator, and social analyst. I look forward to having more conversation with you, though.
It's my pleasure, brother.
Right. Well, you can hear it from his voice, unhappiness, not very pleasant right there. But yeah, there is also the other side that says, hey, if you are having issues that is as hard and tough as terrorism financing and all of that, and you're privileged to getting to know one or twos that, due to